How's it going, guys? I'm Maddie.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chase.
And today we're going to be talking about how to rock your personal statement. So, as many of you guys know, we're both medical students, so our experience is only with applying to medical school. But from our research, a lot of what we've seen is that this should apply to most graduate programs as well as undergrad.
So when it comes to writing your personal statement, there are very few rules. The only rule that you have to follow is the character count. When I say character count, it means the number of letters and spaces you have in your essay. So your essay, when you apply the MD programs, you're allowed 5,300 characters. And then when you apply the DO programs, you're allotted 4,500 characters. Other than that, you can talk or write about whatever you want.
And those include spaces as well. So it seems like a lot, but it's really only about one page single-spaced.
Right. When it comes to writing your personal statement, we definitely recommend taking a list out or on your computer and type down or write down 10 topics that you think that you could discuss throughout your personal statement.
So what a lot of people write about is their path to becoming a physician, why they want to go into medicine, or even just like what their hobbies are and how that relates to how they've gotten to where they are today. A lot of people write about a traumatic medical experience, either from themselves or from a family member. You can write about like if you have something negative in your application and kind of slide that in there. I did that in a very nonchalant way, which we'll explain later.
Right. So we have friends when we applied to medical school who discuss so many different things. Some people talked about, like Maddie said, like a traumatic illness or like a death of a parent. Other people wrote about their college football experience or college soccer experience. I mean, you have the breadth of whatever you want to discuss throughout your entire essay. Most of the time, you're not going to just discuss one topic. You're going to discuss 2 or 3, maybe even 4 different points and merge them all together. So rolling back on what I said earlier about the 10 things you should write down, when you write these down, this is going to be before you even start drafting your essay. This could be, like we said earlier, anything. Just make sure you do write it down and that you can access it later, because so many times when people start drafting their personal statement, they're like, I have no clue what to write about. But if you wrote down different topics, that's going to help you tremendously.
I had no idea what I was going to write about, and honestly, looking at my end product and thinking about what I was thinking in the beginning, they're 2 totally different things, miles apart. But the drafting process and writing down those ideas really gets the organization process and your brain thinking and connecting dots throughout your application and how you can kind of bring that all together.
So when you are writing your essay, don't be afraid to start with something and end with something like Maddie did. I had, I think, 18 different drafts when it came to my personal statement. For the most part, those last 10 or so were about the same exact thing, just, small revisions. But those first 8, they range from life experiences to a job I had to my desire to want to be a physician to a medical mission trip. It will change. You're not going to write your personal statement in a night. It took us several months, 2 or 3 months, to write and revise our personal statements.
So here are 3 questions that you should answer when writing your personal statement. The first one is, does it accurately describe who you are? So, like we said earlier, you can literally write about anything in the world. And I would highly recommend bringing in things that aren't highlighted in your application. For example, I talked about riding horses. I grew up riding horses, and my personal statement started off talking about on Christmas morning when I was 3 years old, I woke up and Santa had brought me a pony. And I said that in my personal statement, and I just took it from there. Now, I connected a lot of dots, so in the equestrian world, I showed all the way up through my freshman year in college, and that kind of attested to how busy I was and maybe why my grades weren't so good my freshman year in undergrad. I didn't say that, but for me, I was hoping that maybe the person looking at my application connected the dots that, okay, I can see that her grades weren't so good freshman year, but oh, wow, she was showing at a national level all through her freshman year. That could be why.
So the second question you want to ask yourself is, does your personal statement connect the dots with the rest of your application? When you have your entire application done, your personal statement should be like the ribbon that surrounds the entire package and ties it up in a nice, neat bow.
So for example, me again, I guess, I talked about how when horses ended during my freshman year of undergrad, I didn't know what to do with myself. I hadn't really joined any clubs. I hadn't really done anything because I was so busy. And so in turn, Chase here decided, let's become EMTs. And I was like, okay, sure. Like, what else am I doing with my free time? And so I took that connection and I actually became an EMT during the rest of my undergrad career. And then that's what I talked about for the rest of my personal statement.
Right. So she talked about being an EMT in other aspects of her application, like how she was an EMT for her university. But her personal statement also tied it into, having extra spare time. So she wanted to do something more, especially with medicine. So that way it ties everything together and connects all the dots.
And the last question you need to answer is it concise and is it orderly? So concise. Like I said earlier, it is not going to be a super long essay. It's about a page long. Now, if you're having a hard time filling that space, you really don't need to go all 5,300 characters. I would recommend that you do, but don't force it. You don't want to be rambling on and on and on. Don't be afraid to make cuts. So a lot of what we did was we just wrote and then looked at our character count and then made cuts because we realized that we were surprisingly over the character count.
So when I first started my personal statement draft, it was about 8,000 characters. So I had the luxury of turning 8,000 characters into 5,300 characters or 4,500 characters, depending on the application service that was going through. When I had that ability to cut it down, that made it super concise. And medical school admissions committees want to see a concise personal statement. They don't want to see you filling your personal statement with fluff. If they see that, then they're going to think, what else does he have fluff in his application? You want it to be concise.
And the second part of this question is orderly. So you want it to make sense. You don't want to be jumping around from the beginning of your life to the end of your life to back in high school again. You want it to make sense and have a nice rhythm to it. So, like I said earlier, I talked about Christmas Day when I was 3. Fast forward to showing horses, fast forward to becoming an EMT, and then I brought that to joining the equestrian team at my university and competing there, because bringing that back around to having a love for horses, that's my hobby. They care about you having hobbies and things that you're passionate about. So I tied that back together. But on the equestrian team, I volunteered with a therapeutic riding institute, which ties to healthcare, which ties to being an EMT. So it's in chronological order, but it all relates to each other, and they can see my clear path to becoming a future physician.
Building off that, you want to write your personal statement in a 5-paragraph format. You want to have an intro and you want to have a conclusion, okay? And then you normally can have 3 or 4 paragraphs in between connecting the intro to the conclusion. It's just like writing a story back in high school. Next, when you finally have a drafted essay, don't be afraid to ask anybody and everybody to review it and make comments and talk about the grammar.
You have to think about all of the people that are going to be reading your essay. It's not just going to be the people who are interviewing you. It's going to be physicians, staff members of the university, students, alumni. It could be anybody. And so you want people from all different backgrounds reading your personal statement and then giving you their feedback, because you're going to have to hopefully please everybody and really make an impact on everybody. So obviously, if somebody's telling you to go in a completely different direction, maybe get a couple other opinions and see what you want to do, but definitely take it into consideration, because you're going to need all the opinions that you can get.
Right, so if you send your essay to 20 different schools, and each school has 10 people that read it, that's 200 people that are going to read your application. You want a good number of people reading your drafted one before you have 200 people reading your finalized one. And that 200 may even be low. There's plenty of schools that do super large committees. 15, 20, 25 people may end up reading it at that university. So you want your essay to make sense.
So literally have anybody who will read it. Your siblings, your roommates from different majors than you, your upperclassmen friends who have maybe gone to med school, have them read it. Have your parents, your grandparents, professors, advisors, literally anybody.
Some of the best reviews I had was going to my English professor and asking her to revise it, because we can't stress the amount that grammar is so important in your personal statement. If you look like you do not have proper grammar in your personal statement, the statement that you should have spent months working on, an admissions committee is not going to be lenient towards that. So having your English professor go over it, have your academic advisor go over it, because your academic advisor has probably seen hundreds of different personal statements, and they can show you where you lie if they think that your personal statement is too cliche, or if they think that you are going down the right path.
So just remember, this personal statement is really the only time before your interview that the admissions committee is going to get a clear look into who you are. So you really need to portray who you are. That's what they want to know. That's what the point of the personal statement is, especially before an interview. And I really feel like it's what's going to get you an interview or not.
Right. Personal statement is, in my opinion, probably the most impactful way that you have to show the admissions committee what kind of person you are. You can be in all different clubs and volunteer in so many different things, but your personal statement is what allows you to show your writing abilities, which is super important in the healthcare field, points that you made throughout your personal work.
So just remember these 3 questions. Does it accurately reflect who you are? Number 2, does it connect to the other aspects of your application? And number 3, is it concise and orderly?
So once you've answered those 3 questions, and you think that you are happy with your essay, do what we've told you, have people proofread it. And then at the very end, you can submit it, and hopefully it is what lands you that interview. So if you like this kind of information, definitely check out our book that we wrote on the entire application process and the keys to success.
We really hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you have any questions or anything to say about this video, we love reading the comments, so please comment down below. We have linked all of our video equipment and whatnot in the description box, and also please subscribe to our channel if you like videos like these.